ready to lace up your boots, throw up your horns, and jump into the pit? Then let's stomp the stigmas of mental illness. It's time for Above Ground Podcast. Now, Will Foley and Timothy Patrick.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to another fun-filled episode of
Above Ground
Podcast. So, a couple of big things to lead off first. Now I can happily say this. If you want to, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, as Timmy smiles at me from across the table. That's right. We landed. The eagle has landed on Apple, and we are very happy about that.
You can also check us out on Spotify and Libsyn.
Yep. And you can find us on the radio.com app, mobile app, because that's the only place that you can actually listen to anything on radio.com now. Podcast-wise is on the app, I believe. But if you are going to listen to us on Apple, please rate it. Subscribe. And if you guys leave us messages on the Facebook page at Above Ground Podcast, we will read your words, man. And we'll say your name. So, make sure if you're on the run, don't use your real name.
And make sure if you have the runs, give it to us quick.
I don't know if I want the runs.
This episode brought to you by Depends.
It depends on how fast it's running. So, Timothy.
Yes.
What are we talking about this week?
This is my host, Will Foley. How are you today, Will?
I'm doing well, Timothy. And my other host over here is Timothy. Timothy, how are you this week?
I'm okay.
All right.
Looking forward to the recording process of another episode or two or three.
Absolutely, man. This is what we do. We bang them out.
Today we're going to be talking about DBT, Dialectical Behavior Therapy. We've done a lot of talking about certain things within the mental health community and all its counterparts. It's an integrated, evidence-based therapy is really what it is. It's but it's a skill set that can help people that are suffering. So we wanted to kind of introduce it today, and we will get into the 4 parts, and eventually each part will have its own episode. So hopefully when all this is through, you'll have some knowledge of this, maybe even be able to put some of it into motion. Some of it is very logical, to understand, to see it on paper, not always easy to put into motion. So, but we're going to introduce it to you today, and I guess here we go, right?
Yeah. Timmy introduced me to DBT. I was more familiar with cognitive behavioral therapy, which is another part of therapy, which is another form of therapy, and pretty closely related to DBT, actually.
Yeah, CBT was first. Then Marsha Linehan came up with this DBT, which the main difference between the two is DBT deals more with a group therapy, like a psychotherapy, as it's called. That aspect of it, to kind of set your goals and work with people, as opposed to just trying to figure stuff out solely on your own, maybe.
All willy-nilly?
Yeah, willy-nilly. But it differs in practice in like I said, in the psychotherapy aspect of it, and it's really geared to help understand your history, to dig back and find out not why you fell in the river, but maybe more of how and where you fell in the river, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. And oftentimes the river is very deep.
It is deep.
And there's some undertow in there, man.
It is.
As I've discovered. Because Timmy called me out on my one day about it's all good.
All right.
I can mark it. About not wanting to go back to my childhood.
I did call you out on it.
Yeah, you did. And truthfully, everything stems from childhood. And
I think you were, the way you approached it was, you were like, maybe something happened that day or that week. You were like, I'm sick of excuses. I'm sick of this and that. And it's not necessarily an excuse. It's part of the path. You know, the way I see it is, you can't start to build a house on a foundation that's cracked.
Nope.
You need a strong foundation before you start putting up that home that you can live in.
Absolutely. And cracks in the foundation lead to all kinds of problems. All kinds of problems. And anybody out there who owns a home knows what we're talking about.
Sometimes you don't even know
sometimes is overrated.
Sometimes you don't even know where the cracks are. You gotta search and you grab a struggle buddy, see if they have any help, any knowledge of things, any insight. And there's therapy. There's lots of resources that one can use. You just gotta search them out. Unfortunately, this stuff's not right in your face. This stuff's not taught in school. It's not talked about in regular conversations.
We're changing that, though.
We are changing that, one stomp at a time.
We were fortunate enough to hang out over the past weekend.
That was a good time.
And
Saturday.
Do some tabling. We were there. I was there for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Tim was with me to do the promotion stuff for our peer group, the Peer Supporting Mental Health Wellness here, and we meet once a month at the Clifton Park Half Moon Library. Every month, if you're up in the upstate New York area and you want to find us and hang out with us, we're a pretty cool bunch of people. But we were also there promoting the podcast, but we had a lot of great conversations with people.
We did have good conversations.
And the feedback that we've been getting has been very positive. We're still learning, and as we learn, you're going to learn. And the DBT thing is something that I've been learning since being part of this peer group. So Timmy, tsunami of emotions?
Tsunami.
A tsunami of emotions.
Pretty much what it boils down to. Some of the stuff that I'm gonna kind of bring up is basically from the book, the DBT, the Dialectical Therapy, Behavior Therapy Skills Workbook.
Yeah, there's a workbook that we distributed amongst our peer group. Several people in the group had already had the experience of it, like Tim had it, and through his group work and stuff. And it's called the Dialectical Behavior Therapy Skills Workbook, and it's written by Matthew McKay, PhD, Jeffrey C. Wood, psychologist, and Jeffrey Brantley, MD. And dialectical behavior therapy was developed and kind of invented, created by Marsha Linehan, who Tim informed me was actually from New York State,
Stony Brook,
New York. So it's very cool that has something to do with the state history of mental health in this state.
State of New York.
The state of New York. The state of New York has a big history as far as mental health things that have gone on, and actually a lot of steps in the right direction in a lot of ways, as we'll get into, and as I've been learning by reading, by being on peer advocacy courses and stuff. Yeah,
so she created this, psychotherapy, skill-based therapy. I think, from what I understand, she originally created it for BPD, borderline personality disorder, to basically help people veer away from suicide. to help, with emotional instability, any mood disorder really, mostly suicidal ideation, self-harm, even substance abuse. This therapy is, I can't say enough positive things about it. Again, you can kind of understand it. It's kind of logical at first. It takes time to really get involved. You have to make it a practice, like anything you do. You can't go to the gym and just start doing reps of 200 pounds. You know what I mean? You got to start.
You got to build up your tolerance.
Yeah,
victory's muscles.
Victory's not always first place.
No, victory sometimes is just getting to the end, whether you finish first or last.
Right.
Doesn't matter. But you can't get to the finish line if you don't have tools to use.
You're right.
Or if you're running a race, you can't run without shoes. I mean, not many people can run without shoes. I shouldn't say that broadly, because there are people who do run without shoes. However, it's not, it's not
recommended.
Not recommended. Not recommended.
Yeah. But a lot of people struggle with overwhelming emotions. Research shows that dialectical behavior therapy strengthens a person's ability to handle distress without losing control or acting destructively in negative manners. I guess
what we know about trauma rewiring the brain.
Sure.
And you figure, and it's all, and when you talk about the foundation, man, it really all goes back to those, those really formative years.
Yeah. I mean, you start a habit at, 8, even earlier, 5, 6 years old, you're starting habits, and they may work for you. You're 12, 13, and they're not as effective, and they're not, I guess I hate to use the word societal norm, but, they can get you into some negative situations. And if you don't know any different, then you're going to keep doing these habits, and your brain's going to keep doing them whether you want to do them or not.
Well, if you react to your emotions just in a blind way, lots of bad things can happen.
That's true. And that's what that's what this skill set does. It's reducing impulsivity. Well, I'm just gonna.
There's 4.
There's 4 main parts, 4 modules. Mindfulness is one of them. Mindfulness, focusing the mind, being aware. Give you tools for grounding yourself in the present moment. Again, being aware and without judgment is really key to this mindfulness. Is they really stress the without judgment part. If you're drinking your drink, drink your drink. If you're eating, eat. If you're mowing your lawn, mow your lawn, and do that. It's in this modern world of multitasking and competitive, who gets done first. It's not really conducive to one's mind.
Mindfulness will also help you with judgment against yourself. I know, speaking from my own experience, that I judge people other than myself a lot higher than I do myself.
Yeah.
Which, is, it's one of those components of some of these disorders. But it's been like that for 47 years, man.
That's what I mean. It's like, unfortunately, it's a habit, and you have to say to yourself daily, like, I will not make negative judgments on myself. I mean, these are things that
it's hard to do, but
it is hard to do. A lot of this stuff is hard to do, but it's possible. That's why we're here. There's this stuff is real. The mental illness is real. Depression is real. Anxiety is real. But, hope is real. And working towards your goals are real.
But emotions are real.
Absolutely.
At the time. But we also have learned, as we work on these skills, because they really are skill sets.
They are,
and you
yeah.
don't. This isn't stuff that you come out of the box learning.
No, no.
I
I would have never learned this had I not gone into Four Winds. I would have not learned this. So thankfully, I learned these skills and was taught these skills to help reduce, the emotional waves. Just basically surviving. And balancing, and it's like a never-ending learning process. Because there's so much stuff to it. But as I said, the 4 key components. The one we just said, mindfulness. The second would be distress tolerance. So basically, distress tolerance is kind of, I guess, what it sounds like. Reducing impulsivity, trying to make. Survive, basically, crisis surviving skills, learning how to survive certain situations, basically
resiliency against unsettling and upsetting circumstances or events.
Yes, perfect. Yep.
That came from the book.
Improving the moment. Self-soothing, and then you can get into, the 5 senses and all these different ways to soothe, and that sometimes you do and you don't realize you do. Listening to music, sometimes
Absolutely.
watching movies.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need 5 minutes on social media just to mindlessly flip through things.
I do believe that there's a component of the mindless stuff too,
Sure.
where you just gotta, play a video game.
Yeah, you gotta check out.
You gotta check out.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta check out. Just how healthily you check out is
Right. That's
the
key.
Is the key. Yeah.
Well said, Will.
All right. So what's the third?
Third is my favorite, emotional regulation.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite too.
Yes, emotional regulation skills, they can help you identify your emotions, understand their purpose, reduce emotional intensity, and improve emotional stability, better manage your emotional well-being, increase the positive emotions, increase the positive events. They're all linked. Obviously, it's all about increasing that the negativity and intensity, and so quick on the draw.
Yeah.
The impulsivity. Yeah. So that's emotional regulation is the third. Number 4, interpersonal effectiveness. Interpersonal effectiveness helps maintain your self-respect. It's basically interpersonal effectiveness. You use it you can use it everywhere, but like you use it in relationships or, if you're trying to talk between 2 people, it's a positive way to get what you want. It's a skill set that teaches you how to ask for something that you need and how to cope with interpersonal conflicts, improve your relationships, and keeping them steady, healthy, keeping yourself healthy with boundaries. It's a mixed bag of stuff.
It is a mixed bag. It's like a trick or treat bag.
It is a trick or treat bag. I wish people would say trick or treat before they cut you off or something.
Trick or treat. That's where your interpersonal effectiveness comes in handy.
That's right. Gives you new tools to express your beliefs and needs. Again, set limits, negotiate solutions to problems, all while protecting your relationships, treating yourself and others with respect.
I like it.
Yeah. Emotional regulation skills. That was the other one. Helps you recognize more clearly what you feel, and then to observe each emotion without getting overwhelmed by it. The goal to this is to basically modulate your feelings without behaving in reactive, destructive, negative ways.
And we have to realize also that we are not our emotions.
Right.
Our emotions just are part of a part of a bigger structure in our self to either send up alert or to.
Sure. Also just realize that we have emotions for a reason. Like, if you're sad, you're sad. It's okay. Because if you fight that, it's going to make it worse. You know, it's how we deal with these emotions is basically what it boils down to. It's, if you're mad, but you can't just, pick up somebody's microphone and smash it against the wall. I mean, you can, but you shouldn't do that. It's not.
No, you need to use your interpersonal effectiveness for that.
Right, exactly. And mindfulness, you can use mindfulness because you experience the moment more fully while focusing less on painful experiences from the past.
We get stuck. I think the Buddhist saying is that depression is being stuck in the past, and anxiety is being stuck in the future.
Sounds about right.
I believe that's the saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And no, it's not just a meme. It makes a good meme.
It does make a good meme.
But it's not just a meme. Not everything that you see on the internet is just a meme. That actually there's some good work going on out there behind the scenes of those memes, man.
There is, and there, and the thing that I learned most about Buddhism itself is it's like timeless. These were put in place like ridiculous amount of years ago, and they make sense today. And mindfulness is. It's like why did we stray so far off this path? That, you know what I mean? Like, these are simple concepts here that, should be being used.
Because simple concepts don't control people.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, it all comes down to control and money and power. I mean, that's what's destroyed empires.
Yeah. But wouldn't you want, when you talk about power.
Money. Well, nowadays.
But for me, though, I want power, but I want power over myself. I want to be able to.
Yeah, most people don't want power over themselves. They want power over people.
Nah,
because it brings the darkness to them, which gives them power, which eventually will fade and implode.
Nah. So the hard part of these skills is just making the commitment to do them, and being disciplined and working at them, and setting some small goals, and just continue on the path of the higher self.
That's what we're on the path of.
Yeah. That's what I mean. People there's a, they always, let's take the path to this, but no, the path is this.
Right.
Happiness is the path. There's no path to happiness.
Right.
Happiness is the path.
This is the path. Yeah.
Yeah.
And taking shortcuts, and I can say this from my own personal experience, man. You smash into the wall.
You do.
I can.
Not saying we don't take shortcuts. That's why we're here telling you, because we have, and
we've learned, or we've tried to learn anyway.
Yeah. Because I'm sure we'll still take shortcuts. You want to add anything to that there?
No, I think that's a good overview of what DBT is.
Yeah.
So I guess to add to this, since you're asking me anyway, so what are you hoping to bring over the next few episodes about DBT, as far as the next at least 4 episodes, because we're going to have an episode about all 4 skills.
Right.
And who knows where those conversations go. They may actually lead to more, because this isn't, I don't like to gloss over stuff. Because there's some important stuff in here, and there's a lot of useful tidbits, and I would like to eventually, have us do some of this workbook throughout the show too, and
that'd be cool.
And talk about it, and
just to just to make people aware that there is another, there's tools out here, I guess that would be the goal, is just to, be aware of it. We're going to go over it and try and get more in depth, but there's tons of stuff to learn, but we'll get as in depth as we will,
or as we can
on each module. But like I said, it's just, we're going to bring you this stuff, and then you can take it further and research it yourself. There's the book itself. You can buy the book. I believe there's DBT for Dummies or something like that.
There's actually many. You can actually go on to Audible. There's audiobooks about dialectical behavioral therapy, just like there is cognitive behavioral therapy. There's actually some really good sets of like all these things together, like four books in one that I was looking at.
Yeah. There's stuff out there. I guess that's what some of this is just we're
just presenting you the information so you can get out there and find it.
And again, if you have stuff that you're working on, or maybe some skills that you're trying and you want to share something, feel free to go to the Facebook page.
Yep. And don't forget, when you look up Above Ground Podcast on Apple and on Spotify, you have to type it in as all one word, all lowercase letters. So that way you guys know to find us. You have to put it in all lowercase, all one word. There's one reason for that was because when I set up the show, that's how I set up the show slug. But when I looked at it, I was
it works. That's
but
all
when
right.
I looked at it, I was like, that kind of makes sense. It's all small letters, meaning that it's not about us. It's just about the information.
Yeah.
So we're here to serve. We're not here to get anything out of this except for helping people and make this, and we want to keep you guys above ground.
Basically.
Keep ourselves above ground.
Keep ourselves above ground.
Which is why we got
some
into
stigma,
this.
Get people talking. This should be regular conversation with, your friends and loved ones. I've said it before, and it, in a tragedy where somebody passes and you go through those moments in your head where, you wish you did this or wish you did that. And it's like, there's times where
you got a basket full of guilt that you can't shake.
Yeah. But I mean, I get it. We're all busy, but we have friends, check in with your friends. It can't hurt to just send a text, say, hey, what's going on? How are you feeling? I mean, that stuff goes a long way. Right?
Yeah, that totally goes a long way. I'm trying to be better at it. You get busy in your life, and all of a sudden you look up and it's 4 days from the first time you had the single thought. But
I know. That's, you got to be more mindful. Live in the now, brother.
Live in the now.
Let me tell you something.
The Macho Man.
Randy Savage. Oh, yeah. We're going to talk mental health.
You could feel his spirit in Madison Square Garden. I could feel the
smell
spirit.
His spirit.
Yeah. I could feel the spirit of wrestlers in the garden a couple weeks ago, even though I wasn't at a wrestling match.
Alrighty, well.
So that's our overview of DBT
for today.
And in the next episode, we're going to tackle the first skill. Which skill are we going to tackle first, Timmy?
That's a good question. Why don't we? I guess let's do interpersonal effectiveness, since you seem so interested in it.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Or interpersonal ineffectiveness.
Yeah.
That's a better title.
Yeah. So as always, be well.
Well, hold on a second.
Oh.
Because now we gotta talk about it. So don't forget, subscribe, leave a review, rate us. But and if you leave a comment, please, we will read them. We promise. So until the next episode, when we start tackling interpersonal effectiveness.
Yes. Be well.
Be safe. Be above.